Hi guys, welcome back to my channel Lush Gardeners. So in today's video I'm going to be discussing a little bit about larger pots, because a lot of times people ask why can't we grow succulents in larger pots. We have seen images on the internet that people are growing it in a larger container, and why not we grow it in that. Now guys, remember, you cannot completely believe whatever is being shown to you on the internet. Probably the image is just made for that particular picture, and we do not know what's the update later on. Now over here I have a rectangular pot. If I want, I can use this pot for making an arrangement, but for that I will have to reduce the depth of this pot. Now of course I'm not going to be using this pot for succulents because I do not want to waste this pot. I will be using this pot for some flowering plants because I've just laid a layer of coco peat on it. But you can definitely grow a succulent arrangement in this pot. For that you'll have to do a little bit of work. I have already made a video on how to grow succulents in larger pots. I will put the link in the description below. Basically, you have to cut down on the depth with some inorganic material. Now that could be either brick pieces or broken clay pots or pebbles at the base, and reduce the base. For example, if this is the pot, you'll have to cover it up until here. As you can see where I am pointing it, you'll have to cover it up with some inorganic material that does not retain moisture. Basically the brick pieces or the clay pieces or anything, as long as it does not retain moisture. Do not use coco peat or coconut husk or I don't know, anything as long as it does not retain or absorb moisture, and store it in that. So once you are completely filled this portion up with that inorganic material, you can then start putting in your succulent soil mix and start planting in it. I have already made a video, as I said. I will put the link in the description below. So with that process you can grow your succulents in a large container, but please ensure that the soil mix that you're using is loose, porous and well draining, and that does not retain a lot of moisture. Otherwise your succulent will get rotted. Now you may have a question, why should we cut down on the depth? Why can't we completely fill this up with soil? Even for that matter, a well draining, porous, loose soil, why can't we just add it rather than cutting down on the depth? Remember, this is a large pot. Large pot means that you would require more soil. More soil means it's going to take longer for the moisture to dry out or for the water to dry out. Even though you are going to have a drain hole, the excess water is going to flow out of the drain hole, but it will still store moisture because there is a lot of soil, and that lot of soil is going to take longer time for the soil mix to dry. And if the soil mix tends to stay moist for a longer period of time, we all know what's going to happen. The succulent will get rotted. So you have to be extremely careful. Now you might say, okay, what if I do not water it completely and I just water it around the succulents? What's going to happen next? Will the succulent get rotted? So now for that I will give you a quick example, because I know a lot of you might have a question. So I do not want you to experiment with that. So I will experiment and show it to you. Now for this example, I will be taking two of these stones. Let's assume that these two stones are our succulents, because a lot of people might have this question or might ask me, what if we place the succulent in a large container? This is just an example with only two. Let's say that you have put like around 15 in this, and let's say that you are asking me, can we put succulents like this and just water it around the succulent like this? Let's assume that this is what you are planning to do, because if you're going to add too much of water, then the succulents will get rotted because there's going to be a lot of moisture. But let's say that you try to be a little bit more smarter and you try doing this, and you water only around the succulent, and you think that okay, this is going to work out really well because I'm not wetting the entire soil, so the soil is not going to get completely wet, and that will not rot the succulent. Now guys, even though you will be able to save your succulent from getting overwatered, your succulent will not rot from overwatering, but this is not going to work out, because remember the rule, you have to water until the water starts passing through the drain hole, which is the complete watering. If you're going to water like this, definitely your succulent will not get rotted from overwatering, but your succulent will start getting dehydrated. Now the reason behind that is you have watered only this section of the succulent area, right? The remaining portion that is there beneath is completely dry. The moment you are going to water, the upper layer of soil will immediately start to dry out because of the external factors, because of the sunlight. the remaining portion of the water will be immediately sucked down. It is going to go completely down, and the place where you have watered will immediately start getting dried. It is not going to give enough time for your succulent to absorb that water. That water will be pulled either below or in the sides, because there is so much of dry matter in the soil mix that it is going to start pulling out. This is only when you are not cutting down on the depth, when you're filling it completely with the potting mix. This is what's going to happen, because all of the potting mix beneath is going to be dry, and this water will be immediately pulled into the pot, not letting your succulent have that quick drink of water. What's going to happen in this case is that your succulent will start getting dehydrated. Now, even though a underwatered succulent or a dehydrated succulent can be revived back, but if it is in extreme case, or if the succulent is dehydrated or underwatered excessively, there could be a possible cause of dry rot. So if your succulent is not dying from overwatering, it might definitely die from dry rot. So you have to be extremely careful. That's why do not get into all of this. If you want to grow succulents in larger pots like this, cut down on the depth and then you can use it. Do not completely fill this up with the potting mix. Either your succulent is going to get overwatered, or your succulent is going to get dehydrated, underwatered, and then that could possibly lead to a dry rot. I will put the image of how a dry rot succulent looks like. It looks like the succulent has been overwatered. It completely gets destroyed. I will put the link on the left hand side of the video. You will be able to see how dry rot tends to look like. It looks exactly like an overwatered succulent. So that's all about it, guys. The only thing that I want to convey from this video is just don't blindly follow with what things you see on the internet. Probably the image that you're seeing of the succulent arrangement in a large container, probably it was just an photo shoot for that particular project, or maybe the person is from a very different environment from yours, or maybe the person might have used something else beneath and made that arrangement. We never know what exactly is going on in that picture. So that's all what I can say. Just be very careful whenever you see such images. It's not necessary that it is going to work out for you very well, just like how it's working out for the other person. Probably the environment difference, the soil mix is very different. A lot of factors come into picture when you are growing succulents. So guys, I hope that this video was helpful to you. If it was, please hit the like button, and if you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing to it. Until then, take care, stay safe, and keep propagating.